like people didn't take me as seriously, and like eventually girls I'd date would talk about how they wish were dating a guy who had hair and everything, and normally I wouldn't put up with that kind of thing, but I was so insecure about the way I looked that I felt like I just really was in no position to make any demands about anything. I just felt like absolute shit. So eventually I decided to do something, but I still wasn't ready to use finasteride. Like a lot of you guys, I was really worried about that. So what I did is that I found something called Promox, and Promox is still available online. You do need a doctor's prescription for it, and it was the first thing I used after minoxidil that actually worked. And the reason why it worked is because it's finasteride, but it's finasteride in a topical form, and it's very expensive. It also has a few other things in it. It's finasteride, minoxidil. It also has progesterone in it, which seems a little bit iffy because it's a female hormone, but I didn't notice any issues with it, although the research on progesterone for hair loss is a little bit obscure, so I don't think that had anything to do with it. So I used that for a while, and I started to get some real regrowth, and I was very happy about that. And I noticed that my hair loss came to a complete stop. Now my temples weren't growing back, but the hair on my crown was starting to fill in a little bit. I was actually getting some regrowth right there, so I was really happy. However, it got to the point where Promox was so expensive, and I was I was just done with college recently, so I had a lot of bills to pay off, that I didn't want to have to continue this. It was just too pricey for me, and I thought, okay, maybe I should try oral finasteride, but I was nervous about that. But then my doctor who prescribed me oral finasteride told me that if you're worried about side effects, don't. Because the thing about topical finasteride is that will give you side effects too. Now, topical finasteride is great. In fact, the limited research that exists on topical finasteride suggests it works even better than oral finasteride. So if you want to give it a try, by all means do so, but it may just be difficult to find a pharmacy that will compound it for you, just because it's a little bit obscure. But it definitely does work. But the thing about topical finasteride is that it will still absorb systemically to a degree. So if you don't get side effects from topical finasteride, you probably won't get side effects from oral finasteride. So that may be a good way to test the waters a little bit if you're nervous. So I said, what the hell, I'll try oral finasteride, and I was prescribed Prostar, which is a 5 milligram tablet for finasteride. I cut it to 4, so it's 1.25 milligrams a day. I started every other day, didn't get any side effects, and then I started using it every day, 1.25 milligrams, and I've had no issues with finasteride ever since. I've had no side effects whatsoever, and I was just thinking, am I just an anomaly? I mean, I hear so many people freaking out about finasteride, but then I came to realize that these kind of drugs, there's going to be negative anecdotal reports about every drug that exists on the market. I mean, there's people talking about how aspirins ruin their life. People talk about certainly how antidepressants ruin their life. Virtually every drug is going to have negative anecdotes from people who are just hysterical about everything they take, and there's no way to prove that these drugs are the cause of their problems. You'll notice that people who use finasteride and have side effects, especially if you go to the forums, they're out of shape, they look really unhealthy, and I think there's a good chance a lot of them were type 2 diabetics, and type 2 diabetics having diabetes can cause erectile dysfunction because it causes nerve damage, and also just being overweight can cause hypercholesterolemia, and high cholesterol can increase blood pressure, and that can cause erectile dysfunction as well. So the fact that they're attributing to finasteride is something that I think the burden of proof is on them. That's not to say side effects don't happen with finasteride. They do occasionally, but I don't think that the majority of people on the Propecia Health forums who have side effects, who have erectile dysfunction, have erectile dysfunction because of finasteride. I think they probably had it before, but then after they took finasteride and read about the side effects, they became more conscientious of it, and now they think all their problems are